Beautiful. All right, guys, welcome to another episode of the Growth by Shawn podcast. Barely got that one out today. But Jessica Sandow, how you doing, buddy?
Oh my goodness. I'm just so honored to be here. You're awesome, and I just want to tell everybody that who's listening.
You
Not that they
know,
don't already know, but Shawn is awesome.
I was gonna say that they probably already know. They most likely already know. They either hate to love me or they love to hate me. One of the two. So, Jessica, if I may, or Jess, if
Yeah,
I may, doesn't
I'm
matter.
happy with either. No, I'm good.
J Dog, if I could.
Mm,
You know,
that's a new one.
Um, what has been the most influential moment of your life thus far?
Looking back, the most influential, pivotal moment in my life so far is the decision to let go of a story that I was telling myself. Um,
Mhm.
I just decided that I was tired of my own kind of BS, my bullshit, because what started out as like an actual like postpartum depression like spiraled into just a series of excuses, projections,
Mhm.
negations, a lot of language around what other people aren't doing for me
Mhm.
when I really wasn't showing up for myself. So the most pivotal moment for me is the decision to start showing up for me.
Gotcha. Um, why did it change?
That's an interesting question. I have reflected on this story many times,
Mhm.
and I think you get to a point in your life at some point, I think many people will experience a like, I have had enough.
Mhm.
And you hit a limit, whether it's in a relationship with someone else or whether it's in the relationship you have with yourself. And I think that was the moment I had had enough.
Mm. Why do you think that you had enough in that moment, though?
I can track that there was like a progression of emotions that were intensifying,
Mhm.
and over the weeks this was just the tipping point,
Mm.
whether um whether I would have hit the tipping point elsewhere along the way, but I don't know. This was just, I like to say things happen right on time,
Mhm.
and this was just the right on time moment. I don't have any other explanation.
Okay, that works. Um, why don't we, going from there, why don't we just hear a little bit about J Dog? All right, and why don't we just hear a little bit about you?
Okay.
I liked that we opened
So
nice and hot, and then yeah, take it where
I
you want.
can
I don't
I can
care.
just take this wherever I want. I can
I
tell
don't
you what
care.
I want. Hi. A little bit about me.
Yeah, if I'm sick of
Uh
listening, I'll let you know.
I was born and raised in Charleston, South Carolina. I was born of an immigrant father from the Philippines and a Southern, deeply rooted church family from the South. So I grew up not quite fitting in. I was raised uh, like white, and I was raised to be seen and not heard. And I don't have any roots to my Filipino heritage. Um, I was raised to mean what you say what you mean, and always follow through. Work hard, and you're gonna go places. I had a wonderful childhood. I was well loved. I grew up in the church. I went to private school at a church. I was at church every Sunday. Um, And I grew up people pleasing. I grew up in a everything is right or wrong or black and white, and the gray area, there's no space for that. That led me into just diving into performance. I was a tennis player ranked in the state when I was like 9. I played school sports. I loved team, um, and always living in the line of like right or wrong. Um, I had a great time once high school ended because then I was like, freedom. And then I was like, right, wrong, whatever. I'm doing all the wrong things. Um, what I thought was wrong, what I was taught was wrong, right? But expressing yourself is never wrong. And that led me on a journey through high school and college and into my 20s of exploring how to find my own way without the rules, because the rules are made up. We get to decide what the rules are, but we learn from an early age that there's a system of rules and we're supposed to follow them. So I moved after college, after spiraling a little, after like during college, I dropped out of college. I didn't graduate. Um, I drank a lot. I used my body in ways that I don't even know why I'm sitting here, right? I made it through the other side, as we often do. We survive the things that we put ourselves through to learn our lessons. Moved away, came here to California. I live in Oakland, California now. Got a job, did the wrong thing and met my husband at work and had a relationship when, don't meet anybody at work. Um, we got married, had 2 kids, and then I spiraled again. It's interesting how patterns show up in your life. Just put everybody else first,
Mhm.
took care of other people, let my body go. With, I think, again, repeating that cycle of just going to do whatever. My body is, it can be punished. It can serve as a way to relive that I'm not good enough. And so the postpartum turned into, once the kids were like 3, 4, I was the lowest. I remember not being able to get out of bed, forcing myself to get up every day and just survive, do the thing, take care of other people, go to work to a job I hated. Um, and I lived that for 3 years, waiting for someone else to fix it, waiting for my husband to do more, waiting for my kids to grow up, waiting for my job to make me happy. Um, and so that is where we were until that pivotal day. That is the synopsis of how I ended up at that moment that I shared earlier.
Hmm. So, throughout your life, all these ups and downs, ebbs and flows,
Mm.
how did you figure out who you really were?
I think there are many versions of me, and I have been different versions of myself. Who I am is still evolving.
Hmm.
Um, I, I, for a while, who I wanted to be was someone who was accepted and loved
Hmm.
and who did the right thing in order to get that validation and that love and acceptance. And Then I think I moved into, I'm a mom now. And then that became who I was. I was a mom, and this is what a mom looks like, and this is what a mom does based on my own the matriarchs in my family and what they modeled and what I had seen on TV or movies or whatever that shapes you. Um, so then I was a mom. I was a working mom, and this is what that looked like. And then um, I think I always have wanted more. There's always this idea that I was meant for more. Uh, and I don't know if I've figured that part out yet. That still lives inside me. That's still something that calls to me, is that I'm meant for something more. And my life has meaning and purpose.
Mhm.
Uh, and I know that is the undercurrent for that pivotal moment. Like, this cannot be who I am. This is
Mhm.
not who I was meant to be. And I have had enough of settling or continuing to believe this story.
What do you think is the most difficult part for people, society
Mm.
in general, in terms of why we never step into the person that we believe we actually are?
I think it's a combination, for me, in my opinion.
Mhm.
I think it is a combination of um, what we've been taught
Mhm.
and what we've been caught, right? Like what we caught, like accidentally, peripherally, and then what we were consciously taught and learned. Um, like the idea that, like, I'm a very spiritual person. I would not
Mhm.
say I'm religious. I grew up in
Mhm.
religion. I know what that looks like. Um, but it's this idea that I can be who I want to be without the rules.
Mhm.
Because often who you want to be might not fit within the parameters of what you were taught and caught. So you're in constant conflict with what you think versus
Mhm.
what you feel.
Mhm.
That's my opinion.
Okay. I think part of that is that our actual, for me, and how I process parts of parts of this, our reality is actually our subconscious, our
Mm-hmm.
unconscious. It's not our conscious. Because when we say, I want this, and this, and then we don't do any of those things, it's
Mm-hmm.
our subconscious that dictates those actions. So our subconscious is what creates our reality. What is the first step in creating a new belief or severing away with an old belief?
For me, it was taking action
Okay.
to support kind of what you're saying. It's like you can think something,
Mm-hmm.
you can know something is true, but in order to make it true, it requires action. So for me, on that day, to no longer believe that I'm just a working mom who does what she's supposed to do and lives for other people. And that was my definition, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I get that's not everyone's definition. It
Mm-hmm.
also is very subjective to each person. In order to step outside of that and create the change and create the new reality required not just belief, because
Mm-hmm.
maybe it will or won't happen. It's the, like, I'm going to try. I'm going to take these actions.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. When you say you are spiritual, what does that look
Mm.
like for you?
For me, spiritual is a belief in energy,
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily like a person sitting somewhere directing all of the scenes in the world.
Jesus Christ, of course.
Or Buddha or Krishna or whatever um so for me spirituality can be creating rituals,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like my cup of matcha every day. This is For me, this is a spiritual interaction.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's a cup of green milk, whatever you want to call it. But for me, it means something more. So I
Okay.
give my spirituality meaning,
Mm-hmm.
and I believe it's in this energy between people, between myself, between me and nature. Um, for me, spirituality exists kind of anywhere I want it to.
Hmm. So when you talk of rituals, beliefs, like what would you do if that was interrupted? How would you feel if you didn't have your morning matcha?
Aha. Um, I go many mornings without my matcha,
Okay.
um, which is why I have more than one ritual.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I'm not overly attached to the ritual or
Mm-hmm.
the spirituality, but I incorporate it into my life
Mm-hmm.
so that I can feel connected with the energy around me, and then I can maximize my own energy from
Mm-hmm.
the rituals, or like sitting and breathing or breath
Mm-hmm.
work. That
Mm-hmm.
to me is a ritual, aka spiritual moment. It doesn't have to be spiritual, but I give it spiritual meaning.
Mm-hmm. Let me pick your brain on this now.
Ooh,
I
let's
have
go.
a friend, okay, and I know that she'll listen to the podcast, which is lovely. So this will be some advice for her. And when I have been coaching her um during our one-on-one calls, and her biggest issue, I'll say right now, is that she has a morning routine, but with the morning routine, she's she feels like she can't function without it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. She's also spiritual, and she gets up at 3 a.m. to make sure that she gets her morning routine done because it takes her 3 hours.
Whoa. Okay.
Yep. So when she feels like if she didn't do X, Y, or Z out of her routine, she
Yeah.
feels like she's not going to be able to, the day isn't going to be the same.
Mm-hmm.
There were many questions I had asked, and I think we got to a good place. Okay.
Yeah.
I asked a couple of difficult questions, but I'm curious how you would approach this after hearing that. What would you look for? What questions would you ask her in
I
terms
would
of
want to
why she is
know.
so, yeah.
I would want to know what the ritual means for her, right? Like,
Okay.
what meaning are we giving the ritual?
Mm-hmm.
And then without the ritual,
Mm-hmm.
what is the meaning? So I'd want to understand the before, right? Like with the ritual, what does that mean for you? What does it give
Mm-hmm.
you? What is the value of that?
Mm-hmm.
Then I want to know if we miss a step, if we sleep in,
Mm-hmm.
what does that mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then understanding from there, because my I I don't know this to be true, but in my
Mm-hmm.
situation, um, the meaning of my story on the stairs, the pivotal moment, the
Mm-hmm.
meaning is that I wasn't right. Like I wasn't doing enough. I wasn't being enough because I was now weak and this like, oh, you can't even carry the groceries up the stairs. How
Mm-hmm.
like right, like you are weak, you are less than because of this thing. And so the meaning we are giving the thing then becomes the thing we are attached to. So if we are attached to that meaning,
Mm-hmm.
and if the series of events doesn't happen and then the whole day is ruined, we get to choose if
Mm-hmm.
we want. We get to choose, is the statement that I have around this story, is it fact or fiction? Is it true?
Mm-hmm.
Is without my ritual or my spiritual actions,
Mm-hmm.
am I XYZ? Is the meaning of this true? And then we get to break it down like, okay, well, why is it true? We get to talk through what's the why, what's the purpose, what is the value of the ritual? And then maybe we get to reshape and experiment through curiosity and kindness. Can this have a different meaning for me? Can it mean something else? Can I have a different ritual? Can I have a 5 a.m. wake up ritual
Mm-hmm.
that serves the same value and brings the same meaning and purpose? Can each day be different because every day is different?
Mm-hmm.
Every day isn't meant to be exactly the same. And can, through this kindness and curiosity and developing a new ritual or a different way of approaching it and a different meaning, can we create even better days for ourselves? But that's where my heart and mind went.
Okay. I'm gonna shift very
Sure.
smallly,
Abruptly.
abruptly, but not like I'm just like taking like a right turn,
Yeah.
but we're on like it's like a
On
yield.
the same
So we're
path.
on the same street here. When you look at the reasons that we do things and what motivates us to operate, okay?
Mm,
Let me make an easy example for everyone that's listening. I want to buy this car, okay?
mm,
What do you think is the underlying motive that we actually want this car? Do you think it is what this car will mean to me or how this car will make me feel?
mm-hmm.
What do you think drives us more? The feeling that something will give us or the meaning that we associate with the thing that we want? And I understand that they're very tied together.
They are linked, is what I was going to say. I was going to kind
Mm-hmm.
of say it's a little bit of both. But what I will say is, I think the initial driver of choosing to work with a coach, buying a coat in a store, buying a car is the feeling.
Okay.
And I think the meaning comes from the feeling.
Okay.
It's when we arrive to make the purchase
Mm-hmm.
that our thoughts can get in the way of the feeling that creates the conflict and confusion and the doubt and the blah, 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 blah.
Mm.
If we were told, oh, the car should mean this for you from our family or from a commercial or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and we get there and we're like, oh, the feeling is that I love this car, but the car really is supposed to mean this. It's supposed to be function.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not supposed to love the look of it, but I love the look and feel of this car. But it's not practical, and I'm supposed to buy a car of function. So that's where I think it gets a little tricky. Um, if the feeling is really directing the meaning, then the feeling might be this car feels good, so then that means I feel good.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have this car now, I feel good.
Yeah.
But in that moment, I would want to, like, how can we feel good without the car?
Mm-hmm. That is the
How
question.
can how can I, without the consumerism or needing the external thing, feel as good as I want to feel?
Mm-hmm.
And then if I feel great, if I feel like, yes, I am good with myself, I am happy with me, I am happy in life, I don't need the car to be happy, but having that car, man, that is the cherry on top of the fucking sundae. Then go get the fucking car.
Mm-hmm.
But if the car is really, like, for me, making other people happy,
Mm-hmm.
that used to be how I found my happiness.
Mm-hmm.
But that was based on other people's happy. If I didn't make that happiness, then I didn't have happy. So
Mm-hmm.
it's still living outside me. So that's like, that gets messy. What if the car breaks down? What if you crash the car? What if
Mm-hmm.
somebody steals the car? Then are you going to feel not great? So feeling meaning. Oh, that's a good question. Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
So good.
When we look at the reasons that we're, as a society, so drawn
Mm.
to the opinions of everyone else, okay, where do you think it stems from?
I mean, I have a two-part answer to this.
Mm-hmm.
We want to belong.
Mm-hmm.
That is innate. That is, we are a community.
Mm-hmm.
Inherently, humans are meant to work collectively. So, as part of the belonging, there's
Mm-hmm.
this, like, idea that we want to be thought of in a positive way. We want to
Mm-hmm.
be accepted. Um, I think that society has taken that knowledge of wanting to feel the belonging
Mm-hmm.
and then twisted and used it throughout industrialism and capitalism, and turned it into, well, you need these things to belong. So there's the inherent nature versus nurture, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's, I think it's both things.
Mm-hmm.
um and I think that there is a conscious effort. um I mean, the commercials, the onslaught of advertising about, like, you need
Everything.
these things. You need these things to fit in. You need these things to look successful. You need these things. And the focus of our energy on that is, I think, I know why we get, we are not grounded. We are not centered. We are not connected to ourselves and each other in the way that is, like, is authentic.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of things I want to unpack there, but at the same
We don't have a
time,
lot of time.
I know I want to sidestep at the same time.
Maybe we
And
should do a second episode.
we can do that. I would be up for that. I've done a couple of part one, part twos. Um, here's the thing that I want to sidestep into, though.
Yeah.
The 1% of people that govern society.
Hmm.
What are your thoughts on their spiritual practices?
I personally don't I have no window into what their practices are.
Mm-hmm.
I The 1%. which I do not belong to, by the way,
Mm-hmm.
um, they have lost touch with the collective
Mm-hmm.
because they are in they're not part of the full collective.
Mm-hmm.
And so whatever their spiritual practices are theirs and their own individual practices, and like of course I support those.
Mm-hmm.
But their ability to function as a part of the collective no longer exists.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever their practices are,
Mm-hmm.
kudos, shout out, do what you need to do, make your own choices, live your life. However, they are making choices for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They are making choices for their collective, which is bifurcated from really. And I know we have many layers. There's
Mm-hmm.
many different subsets of collectives,
Mm-hmm.
but they are so far removed from the majority of, like the Peloton, if you think
Mm-hmm.
about the Tour de France, they've broken away. They're not really a part of, and yet they are directing society
Mm-hmm.
and creating the systems and the rules and what is right and wrong, kind of like
Mm-hmm.
thinking back to my own journey.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, they're creating rules for everyone that work really well for them.
Mm. Now, okay, did you have another thought?
No.
Okay. It's it's strange the wording with things of with this topic in terms of their working and thinking for themselves, but then us as a society, and the reason that we even got onto this conversation was because we want people to think for themselves. And so not enough people think for themselves and they think for others first,
Mm-hmm.
whereas it's the airplane example
Mm.
of you can't save the person to your right, the little baby that's next to you until you put your oxygen mask on. It's the same exact thing. Um let's yeah, I would love to do a part 2. What I will do is I'll still give you my last question here.
Okay.
And so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to read you an
Oh.
exercise, okay, that good old Jen Brocksterman gave me.
Ooh.
Okay. And she has asked you the last question for today. All right. But I'm gonna read you a little exercise first.
Okay.
So you're holding a cup of coffee when someone comes along and bumps into you or shakes your
Mm.
arm, making you spill your coffee everywhere. Why did you spill the coffee? Because someone bumped me. Wrong answer. You spilled the coffee because there was coffee in your cup. Had there been tea in the cup, you would have spilled tea. Whatever is inside the cup is what will spill out. Therefore, when life comes along and shakes you, which will happen, whatever is inside you will come out. It's easy to fake it until you get rattled. So we have to ask ourselves, what is in my cup? When life gets tough, what spills over? Joy, gratefulness, peace, humility, anger, bitterness, harsh words, and reactions. Life provides you the cup, and you choose how to fill it. So Jen wants to know if you could put 3 words into your cup, what would they be?
Love this little activity, by the way. And I just want to say, like in my flow classes, we end the class with our hands in little cups.
Oh,
And it's the last moment of class. And I have people just leave their hands open in little cups and they get to put whatever they want in the cups.
hmm.
And so, um, what would I put in my cup today? I would put joy. I would put um, action
Mhm.
in my cup today. And I would put um, laughter in my cup today.
That's a fun one. All right. Jessica, where can we find you to work with you?
Oh my goodness.
It's the real question.
It's just my name. I'm everywhere with my name. So I have my own domain,
Okay.
jessicasandow.com. I am on the Instagram as just my name, jessica.sandow.
It's easy.
Yes, I don't have a fun, catchy handle. I'm just me.
Like
And
growth by Shawn.
yeah, growth
Yep.
by Shawn. I love it.
Hmm. For any women
Mm.
that are listening to this, I would urge you to go and reach out to Jessica because she is a outstanding individual that you will be able to learn a lot from and build a community within her own community that she already has. And so if you don't think that you're a good fit for me, especially women, not saying that I don't coach women, okay? All right. There's
You
lots
do, though.
lots of them.
You're amazing.
All right. But I would urge if you're a woman, let's say you just had a nice little child, let's say that Jessica would most likely be a good fit for you. A lot better than me. For me, never given birth. Not yet. All right. But guys, this is gonna do it. Jessica, thank you. All right.
Thank you so much,
All right.
Shawn.
Beautiful.
Ugh, see you soon.